Hello, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. Well, I did a video a little while ago about my hometown and how, like, I always sort of wanted there to be a haunted house in the town and just sort of talking about some of the houses in the town and that. And someone said, oh, do you believe in ghosts? In the comments, I'm like, well, yes. I've actually had a few paranormal experiences in my life, so I do know that sort of side of things does exist. And I wanted to tell a couple of my little stories because I've had a couple of little experiences, but they weren't really big experiences. Now, the first experience that I had, because there's a couple of sort of scary stories from when I was a kid, but they're not really paranormal. But the first thing that happened to me that really was strange was I went to my brother's house. He'd moved into a house that was over 100 years old, I think. And we were just visiting. It was my mum and me were just going to see this new place he'd moved into because he just sort of, unpacked and everything was like all settled, and he was sort of showing Mum the place. And I walked in, and I just had this overwhelming feeling of coming home and being like I knew this place, and I could see it as it had been in the past. Like when I looked at it, I could see. We walked into the back door into the kitchen, and I could see the kitchen how it used to be, and I felt this overwhelming sort of feeling of nostalgia and I'm home. I've been, and then that sort of went away, and obviously I'd never been there before, and I don't know what that experience is called, but I know it's got a name, and I should have researched that before I did this. That's why I'm doing these videos, because I'm sure I'm going to find things that I need to do, and I'll redo this later. But that was the first sort of experience I had where I saw a place as it appeared in the past, like I had been there. So whether I was remembering having been there in the past, or whether I was picking up on someone else's memory or experience of it, because sometimes people say that if you go into a space, you can sort of read off the energy from the past. So that was the first weird thing that happened to me. So that's one story. Now, another one was I moved into a house in High Street, the corner of High Street, and I've forgotten the name of the street now. Pender Street. No, I've forgotten the name of the street. It was on High Street in Northcote, and it was a little street. So we're on the corner of High Street and we're rear of High Street. So I can't remember the name of the actual street that we're technically on, but we're technically rear of there was a shop, and the house was built onto the back. And it was the only place like that. The street was all regular homes, and there was like an alley between our place and the rest of the street. And the first sort of experience that sort of happened there, and it wasn't my experience, but multiple people had experiences there. My friend Belinda had moved in, and two friends of hers from Brisbane, where she lived, were staying. And they were laying there in the bed because we'd all sort of been watching TV and all that, and we'd sort of gone to bed. And they were in there, and one of the girls woke up, and she had a son. I think she had a son. She had a child. I can't remember. This was a long time ago. And she saw a little boy standing in the corner, and she was freaked out because she saw this little boy standing in the corner. And she came upstairs and woke us up and sort of freaked out. And we ended up all going downstairs because she had to sleep in that room. I think there wasn't enough room in my friend's room. So we all slept down in there because they were afraid to sleep in the room by themselves. Now, of course, we didn't see the ghosts, but she did. And we all stayed there because we sort of believed her, but it was the first time something weird had happened. Now, the first weird thing that happened to me in that house, out of several things, was I was up in my room, and I'd moved in after someone had caused a fire in the building, and it had been repainted and everything, and I was going through a bunch of old mail, and a while ago I'd seen there was someone who used to live in the place called Elizabeth, and I was sitting there just writing down something, and I heard someone whisper in my ear, "Where's Bev?" And I'm like, what the hell? Who's Bev? And then I realised later that the girl who had lived there before, Elizabeth, lived in my room. So this spirit knew her as Beth, and was asking me, "Where's Beth?" I heard, "Where's Bev?" It was, "Where's Bev?" And that was really freaky. Now the next thing that happened in that place was terrifying. two terrifying things happened in that place for me. My bedroom was directly above the kitchen. Half of my room was over the kitchen, the other half was over part of the living room. And the side where my bed was the part that was over the kitchen. And I could hear this banging downstairs. Now, this was during my student years, and I was staying in the house by myself because my other housemates had gone home I think they both lived in Brisbane. They'd gone home for the holidays and they were staying home for like a month. I only went home for like a week. I came back. So I was in the house by myself for a couple of weeks. And one time I was just at home, and I just heard this banging downstairs, like someone was opening and closing the cabinet doors. And I thought, oh God, because we had this back area, like a little garden area, and we were back onto the alley, and the back room was like wasn't really, it wasn't part of the original building. It's sort of built on, and it wasn't really regulation. And we had these windows with the glass that you can sort of just pull them out. And I thought, someone's broken in, some like homeless person or something has broken in, and they're looking for food in the kitchen or something. And I thought, God, there's someone in the house. What do I do? So I went downstairs, and I went through the middle room, because there was stairs, and then there was like the middle room, and then the kitchen. And I was in the middle room, and I could hear the racket and all that, and I'm like, God, what do I do? I didn't have anything. I didn't have a knife or anything. I'm like, what am I going to do? And I just walked in expecting to see this weird, crazy homeless person, just hoping they would just be looking for food or something and not like wanting to hurt me or anything. And then there's no one there. Just silence. And I'd been like walking right up, slowly, quietly, walking up to that door with the noise in the kitchen, expecting to see someone in there, and there was no one there. So the noise, the things that were moving around by themselves. The doors were opening and closing by themselves. There was no one there. There's no one who could have gotten out of that, because the doorway going out of that room was parallel to the doorway going in. So I could see right through. Once you come down the stairs, you can see right through to the end of the building. There's no way someone could have gotten in and out of that space without going past me. So that was terrifying. And I just ran back upstairs, and basically just closed the door. And another occasion, which was even more terrifying to me, because I didn't expect that. But this other time, it was within the same week or so, I was up in my room, and I heard someone coming up and down the stairs. Now, obviously, I'm the only one in the house. There's no one else here. And at first I thought someone's in the house. But they just kept going up and down the stairs, like stomping up and down the stairs. And I was just sitting in my room. My back was because my bed was against the wall that the door was on, that the stairs were going down behind. And I was just terrified, because I'm like, my God, either there is someone in this house who is creating this noise, like for some reason, like they want to like draw me out so they can do something to me, because my room was locked, the door was locked, and I had a lock on the door. Or there's some sort of spirit or presence in this house, and they are making a racket, and they're making themselves known. And I'm like, and I was really terrified. I was just frozen. I couldn't do anything. I didn't know what to do. And I thought, you know what? If it could hurt you, if it could do something to you, it would do it. I don't know why it's doing what it's doing, but it doesn't want to do anything to you. So just ignore it and hope it goes away. So I just put the TV on, started watching TV and just listening to things. Eventually the noise stopped. I forgot about it. And then a little bit later I went out and walked down the hall. There was no sign of anyone having been there. But I was really absolutely terrified. I could not move, and I didn't know what was happening. But then I sort of realised, if someone wanted to hurt me, there's a glass window on the door, they could have broken through it. If there was a spirit, obviously, if they wanted to do something to me, they've come all the way from another realm. If they wanted to do something, they could have. I didn't know what the point was, but so that was pretty terrifying. And there was a sense that there was someone in the house. Now, one of the girls who moved in later said she did a seance, and she said there was a man, a woman, and a child. We'd seen the child, and I felt like that energy was a male energy. And there was a woman, another housemate, because everyone who stayed in the house had some sort of experience, with the exception of my mother and my friend's mother, who we didn't leave alone for a second in the house. Everyone who came into the house had some sort of experience. And my friend, a couple of my friends who were dating, one of them was home, and everyone had gone down the street, because there was a mall at the end of the street, gone down the street to get something. When he came back, he saw a woman in the house, and she's like, he came in, he's like, weren't you just in the middle room? And he said, no. So I just saw, like, he thought he saw his girlfriend there. I'm like, who was that then? She was upstairs and I was upstairs. So now, was he playing a trick on us, or did that happen? I don't know. But I did have a moment where I thought I saw someone, it looked like someone wearing a big sort of dress, going up the stairs just for a second. Just as I turned and saw them go up the stairs. So I felt like there was a female energy there. And there was definitely a male energy there. There were times where I was downstairs, I felt this presence, like a pressure on top of me, like just this really negative, dark energy. And I felt like I just had to you had to just get out of the room. And often I'd come down, quickly go to the kitchen and go back up because I didn't like being down there. And eventually we moved out because we didn't feel comfortable. My friend and I, neither one of us, we both had experiences because she'd had people knocking on her window in the bath. Because we all had glass on the doors and they locked, but she had knocking on the window, and she sort of had knocking on the window when she was in the bathroom as well. And it wasn't me. I know it wasn't me. So unless she's making it up, it happened to her. And we had one housemate that had some issues, and we thought, you know what? We're not fighting to stay here. This place is scary and wrong. Let's just go. And she moved in with her dad while he had the space for her, and I moved in with a friend because she had got an apartment with her boyfriend. It wasn't working out and he'd moved out, so she needed someone to sort of help out. So I moved in with her for a while, and that way we could get out, just leave the other person in the house, instead of trying to get rid of them because we couldn't get them to leave. So we just left them in the house with 2 rooms to fill. And I don't know what happened to them, we just left. And we did a few things on the way out, but yeah. So those were some of the experiences that I had. And like I said, everyone who came into the house, except for my mother and my friend's mother, neither of us, we would not leave them alone in the house. We literally were like in the hall. When they were in the bathroom, we were like in the hall, waiting for them to come out. We didn't leave them alone for a second. Everyone had some sort of weird experience who stayed there or was alone. Now, the place has been torn down, sadly, because there was this guy who writes Australian mysteries and ghost stories, and I wrote an email to him. I still have some of his books on my bookshelf behind me. And he was interested in talking about it, but didn't happen. But eventually they tore down the whole building and they built a new storefront, a couple of storefronts, and a block of like 4 apartment buildings or something, which really kind of ruins the street look, because there's a lot of modern buildings that have been built in that area that are affecting the look because they're all like high rise and all that. But it's gone now, so I can see where it used to be, like the space that my room was above. You can sort of see from in the backyard of the other apartment that when I walk past. But yeah, so those are the experiences that I had there, and I've had a few other experiences, not a lot, but a couple, and I'm running out of time, so I might redo these and do them all as separate little videos. But I just wanted to talk about them and have them done so I can put them up if I want to. But I think I might revise them because I think I can tell them better. But I'm going to go. As you can see, it's a 13-minute video with a whole bunch of stories. I probably could have done individual ones of a couple of minutes each. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think if I put this up. Otherwise, it's just a test. So that's why it's a bit rough. But thanks. Bye.